Hello, Dr. Sharman. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. How are you, Coach Chandra?
I'm good. I've actually been enjoying chatting with you for like the last half hour, so yeah.
Likewise.
All right, everyone. So what we're doing is how this all started, the spring detox with Dr. Sharman and Coach Chandra is I haven't done a cleanse, a detox, spring detox cleanse since before I was pregnant. Although I'm curious. I did the microbiome detox with you last year. Would you count that as a detox or as a cleanse?
Yeah, absolutely.
So maybe it wouldn't be liver, or would you count it as a liver cleanse
Well,
detox?
yeah, I wouldn't count it necessarily as a liver, but you still reset your gut, which is a huge component. So,
So
maybe call it a baby liver detox, and then a full, a microbiome detox for sure, or reset.
right, because in order to do like a microbiome detox, you have to have your detox pathway open. You have to have things going out. So maybe it wasn't focused on a liver, but there was still like the liver probably let go of some stuff, or at least like was able to process and move stuff through.
Sure. You're probably more capable of actually excreting the toxins that your liver gets rid of if your gut is in a better shape.
Right,
Yes.
because the gut piece is the most important. Okay, so I haven't done a liver focus. Let's get clear. And since before I was pregnant, and I think even a couple of years before that, I think it's actually been like close to a decade since I've done anything like liver specific. And I have so part of this idea came from my friend Dr. Andrew, who he and I have we're always like collaborating and have ideas, and he really focused on some skin stuff. And so he asked me what did I do for my skin stuff, and I said, well, I really think that liver detoxing was like a really big piece of me figuring out my eczema. And so he's like, yeah, I'm doing this liver sauce thing. And so then so then I reached out to Dr. Sharman and I was like, I kind of want to do a liver detox. What do you think? And then you said, you want to share where you're at and what's your
Yeah,
thoughts?
I said, hell yeah, let's do it. It's time. I haven't done a detox in likewise probably 10 years. So I'm kind of excited.
Nice.
Yeah, it's like my awakening from, we both have our 5-year-olds now. So it's like coming out of that early childhood hole.
Totally. Yeah. So I was thinking that we can maybe talk about, maybe I can think of what's on my mind and I bet you can think of some gaps. I was thinking to talk about who like detoxing is not good for. Like if you're pregnant and breastfeeding, like it's not a good time because we don't want to release toxins that go into our baby essentially, right?
Yes, absolutely.
I was thinking another time. I mean, for me personally, like if I'm stressed or like there's a lot going on in my life, like adding a detox on top of that is like, it just creates a lot more. Yeah, it's like not the ideal time to do a detox. What other contraindications would you name?
Yeah, I mean, the thing that comes to mind is just that certain people on medications, possibly just knowing that your medications your dosages might need to change as your liver function changes. So you're going to excrete them probably better. Maybe you might have to go up on a higher dosage. So that would be just something to keep in mind. Um, Goodness, what else? That's really it because I feel like the amount, I mean, we're going to talk about it, but like the kind of detox you do can definitely be tailored to where you else you are in your life, right? So if you're pregnant or nursing, you could still change your diet and get your body to function at a higher rate, but you wouldn't necessarily want to, push your liver to or your body to dump toxins.
Nice. Yeah. So maybe since you already opened that topic, we can go there. One of the ways that I work with people in my program, as you know very well, is I'm like, where are you at right now? And like, what's your next stage that you want? What's your next appropriate thing? So like, if you're pregnant or breastfeeding, you could always like clean up your diet, which would be a gentle detox. You would still have, like the less toxins we take in and the more nutrients we give our body, then the our body goes into its natural state, which is like detoxing, right? And most of us are just kind of so full, we're taking in so many toxins and we don't have the detox pathways going out that most of us are like storing, whether it's in our fat or in our liver. Anything
Yeah.
else? Anything else you want to add in there?
No, but I mean, I think you just hit it right on the head, because right on the nail head is that, like, reducing exposure, I think, is such a huge part of detoxing in this day and age. And actually, when we started talking about this, I was doing a little bit of research, and just reminding myself that what we take in on our skin, I think, is actually in so many ways more important than what we're taking internally. And when typically people think of a detox, you're thinking about changing the way you eat, but really thinking about what you're surrounding, what you're putting on your skin. We can always be reminded of that and clean it up.
Yeah,
Because our
I'm so
skin
glad you
doesn't
bring
have
that.
like, go ahead.
I'm so glad you bring that piece in. It's like one of the pieces, like in my skin journey, like I really had to like definitely there was a huge food piece, but it was also like what products am I exposing my skin to? And my skin, like the people who have sensitive skin, like my skin is extra sensitive to sunscreens, makeups, soaps, all of the things. And one of the things I teach in my program is like to think about our skin as like an absorption, like we're actually eating whatever it is that we're putting on our skin. And
Totally.
so like, yeah, so I wasn't actually really planning on addressing that, but I think it's a really good piece to bring in here of like really being mindful, like reading labels, like what's in. And I know you told me about this website ewg.com,
You
which
got it.
has like the where you can like look through the products and see if it's certified by them as generally less toxic or less stuff that we're like putting in our bodies through our skin. Yeah, changing. Yeah. So on that note, I wasn't planning on spending a lot of time there, but what kind of advice would you give for someone that's thinking about doing a spring detox? And like, how would you? I mean, it's a big question, but like, how would you? What would be like the short couple bullet points of like, if you want to do a spring detox, what would be like the product, skin, environmental piece? It's a big one.
I mean, again, I think it's just like, I think the mental prep for doing a cleanse properly is huge, right? You want to set yourself up for success. So, and a big component of to that is like, well, again, it's like meeting people where they're at. Maybe you just have the capacity to do the food portion, and that's fine. Or maybe you're just spending that month looking and replacing your household cleaners, your laundry detergents. I find for women, it's like the hair care products that are really hard. I know for me, that was like one of the last things to go for me was my stuff for my hair. Um, so, I just think being really mindful of that, especially like the cleaning products, I think people forget about that you're inhaling that, or maybe it's just buying a filter for your house, right? I mean, there's just like so many avenues to go in, but making some sort of step. So it would just be like try to do one or two things in your house: filtration, water filtration, or like the skin cleaning products.
Yeah, and maybe we can dedicate. So our plan for all of you guys, we're planning to do maybe Monday, Wednesday, Friday, do like a short video, 15-minute video where we can ask questions and maybe we can tailor each one to different topics. And maybe we can do one topic on like cleaning products and give some resources and
Sure.
yeah. Okay. So there's the skin piece. Now, what are you planning to do for your spring detox?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, I am planning on giving up alcohol and caffeine as like the primary. So I'm kind of going to ease into it. So I'm going to first start off by getting rid of alcohol and caffeine and recovering from that. And then I think I'm going to like hit it hard with just eating a really clean, more like a paleo sort of diet. I'm not a super strict person all the time, so just really just cutting out the processed foods, trying to incorporate more fruits and vegetables. I was also just listening to this like podcast, and I was talking about just like how a smoothie a day can really change your microbiome with all the prebiotics and wholesome nutrients. It's just such a great way to pack in so many good things in your diet. So probably trying to incorporate that. And then adding in a little bit of some liver pushing, some herbs that stimulate liver function and help with all the different phases of elimination.
Okay. I'm curious, so with your quitting caffeine and alcohol, like what's your time frame on that? What are you thinking? How like what's that look like?
Yeah, so I've already started decreasing my consumption of it because there's certain times in my life where I tend to be a little overboard on both of those. So I've already really decreased my consumption to make. So I'm starting April 1st. Are you starting April 1st?
Starting which part? I've also
I,
already, so for me, alcohol is like not really a thing. I have like a couple margaritas a year. Like it's like not a thing for me, but caffeine is like my big thing. I really love caffeine. And so I think a week ago, I cut my caffeine in half. And I was actually kind of curious what your opinion is. Like, do I have to cut it completely out? I'm really curious what your opinion is because you know me.
yeah.
I
So there's no have to, but I would recommend cutting it completely out. Yeah. I think just all of anyone in the society, I feel like their cortisol levels are too high, right? So you're always in overdrive, you're a little bit stressed out. The caffeine is just adding to that. I want you to have a really clear picture of how your body feels. And I think caffeine obscures that. And I think also just knowing that we don't have to be reliant or have any sort of, that emotional piece, I think is important. So I would recommend cutting it all out if possible. I also think just cutting it in half is a huge step in the right direction. So maybe you're just saying, "Hey, I'm gonna have one small cup of coffee," and so that's
mate,
a
yerba mate is my like
mate,
favorite.
coffee, tea, whatever. Yeah.
So one of my I did some caffeine podcasts with you and Dr. Yotam Tamari, and one of the things that he said that stuck with me, or maybe it was you, was about how when we drink caffeine, that it makes the liver like excrete something enzymes into the stomach, and so it's like actually making the liver work harder. Do you know
Mm.
something about this, or do you? It might be from a Chinese medicine perspective because that's his view.
Yeah, I think it's Chinese medicine.
Yeah. So I'm curious. So if you could get, and I'm putting you on the spot here, but what would be the motivation? Like if because like I know that like for the liver, like taking off the load. So like alcohol puts on an extra load on the liver, caffeine puts an extra load, sugar puts on an extra load. Also, fruit puts on an extra load on the liver. Correct? It's like harder to digest, and then also hydrogenated oils. And so what does that mean, like put an extra load on the liver, and like why, like can you talk about like that aspect of like taking the load off and like what it, I don't know, is there anything medical you can add in there?
Well, I would just say, let's see. Let me think for a second. So, I mean, I think it's very apparent that we're all overloaded with toxicity. Um, and when it comes to detoxifying, I guess like my thought with caffeine is actually less geared towards the liver and it's more geared towards like that stress response, which is huge for how our body is like digesting and healing and stimulating growth hormone and all of the things that are vital to us replenishing our body on a regular basis. So when I think of specifically caffeine, I specifically, and I know there's like so many ways and so many organs to think about, but my first line of thought, which obviously is different than Chinese medicine, is like adrenal function and that stress response, that cortisol response. Um, and I just find when we can kind of get rid of anything that's stimulating that people first will feel, yeah, they'll feel crappier, they'll feel more tired. Um, there's some amazing adrenal supplements that we can talk about, that help people get through that. But then they feel better. They can make better decisions around what they're eating. Um, they sleep better, right? They have more sustained energy. So that's such a huge part of detoxifying, I think. And also like detoxifying some of those like habit patterns we have, right? Like the mental part of it too. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's what I think of.
Okay, so you're thinking more of the adrenal piece than the liver piece as far as like taking the caffeine.
Yeah. But taking the load off, honestly, like a lot of times in my practice, I'll use an analogy of a bucket. And it's like, it's the capacity to take things in, right? So we have like caffeine, we have alcohol, we have processed foods, we have all the things you said. You see this overflow, and that's when we see signs and symptoms. So anything we can do to lessen that bucket is going to make everything work better. And then if we additionally like at this level is where our liver is functioning and we're trying to drain our bucket, right? And so anything we do to help push that and open those organ systems is going to help. And that's where like the specific like liver herbs come in, or different, eating all the high antioxidants foods to help with each of those pathways and open that up, make our drainage process cleaner and faster.
Okay. I'm curious, you mentioned about like the hormone piece, and I know that like that's one of the areas that you're really passionate about. So do you want to touch a little bit on like how hormones tie into like spring detoxing, and like what the relationship or like what the benefit or what the motivation or reason?
Yeah, I mean, there's so many reasons, right, to do a detox. But yeah, I mean, hormones are so interconnected with specifically our gut microbiome. So anything we can do to help, again, so like one of the facts that I think is the most fascinating about hormones is typically women, we see like a high estrogen dominance in our society, and we can talk on and on about that. But again, like cleaning up our environment is huge with that, but then also cleaning up our microbiome, because specifically, so our liver, right, takes in our hormones we're trying to excrete, right? We use our hormones, so we need to excrete them, we need to metabolize them. We need our liver to conjugate them and excrete them, go through its three processes of excretion, and then put it into the digestive tract where we're going to poop it out, right? The problem is that for a lot of people, their digestive tract isn't healthy, and the certain enzymes get upregulated when we don't have good microbiome, and we actually recycle that estrogen that we're trying to excrete back into our body. I mean, there's like been scientific literature on it. It's amazing. So some people will try to get rid of it, but then will reabsorb 80% of it, and so it just ends on this like nasty cycle. So I think like just changing your diet, really, you can really change your microbiome, and then you can have better hormones right away.
Have you seen the Ask a Doctor Netflix series?
No, should I?
There's one on the gut. I think it's called The Gut. And they're like, it's like this. I think it's an Australian doctor, and he's like, there's always making these tweaks, and he's like monitoring everything. And one of the really cool takeaways I took from that film is that within 14 days of either like changing your diet, like cleaner, or changing it more like more junk food and processed, 14 days there's like a substantial microbiome change in like 2 weeks. It's
Wow.
pretty, it's a really cool like motivator for like an example of like how much just changing your food can really change the microbiome, and they're like doing labs and tests, and it's
Yeah,
cool.
in fact, that's fast. I mean, that works just as fast as a lot of drugs don't reach their peak level for 2 weeks. So that's amazing.
Okay, so hormones. So one of the big reasons to do a detox, a spring detox, would be to basically like, and tell me if I understand this correctly, and I didn't know about this, but it makes sense to me, like when we're not like letting things go, when things are not going down and out, then we're reabsorbing them.
Yeah, we're
So like,
recycling them.
so as we clean up the diet, which means like really, I think one of the basics of cleaning up our diet is like eating a lot more vegetable fiber. And I like to think about that vegetable fiber as like kind of like the broom that's like cleaning everything out, because we often have like impacted and like stuff kind of stuck and hanging out. So like when we increase our vegetable amount and we're not having the gooey, sticky foods like the breads and the cheeses and all these foods that kind of clog everything up, then we naturally kind of start dumping things out, which then it sounds like that would allow the hormones that our liver is dumping, would allow also our hormones to go down and out. Is that kind of the layman's way of saying it?
Yeah, I'd say that's half of it. And then the other half is that all of that good fiber that you're talking about also feeds the good bacteria. And then that's changing like the enzymes that are being created. And it's those enzymatic reactions that the bacteria are responsible for that are hugely related to like that reabsorption as well. So it's both having adequate fiber to pull it out, and like have right, like if you're not having a bowel movement every day, like that's a huge reason to do a cleanse. Like that is essential. That is the number one thing we need to work on, right? When it comes to health. Um, so yeah, it's both of those things.
Yeah, I really like the phrase that I came up with in my program was like to feed the friendly bacteria and starve the unfriendly bacteria. And so like with the
Exactly.
probiotics, the prebiotics, the vegetable fiber, the kraut, the fermented foods, like those are all the ways that we can feed the friendly bacteria that makes us happy, that helps us metabolize well, that has all of those like, it's amazing what they're finding out with the gut microbiome. And then not feeding not eating the sugars and the alcohol and even the medications, but all the things that feed the unfriendly, that like, yeah, clog down our system.
Absolutely. And then I think like, because then where I go in my brain is like, okay, well, the other thing I see besides the feeding thing is I find that like the feeding part isn't effective if you don't address stress. And so that's where like that caffeine adrenal portion comes in, because I do lots of microbiome like detoxes or resets, and there are people who don't get better, and that's because they have to do all the work around the stress component first. And I think that's a, when we talk about getting people better and then staying better, that's just like such a huge important component.
Yeah, you really opened my eyes to this piece last year. You mentioned this about how like when we're in a state of stress that our microbiome can't heal. It was like really like kind of mind blowing to me, which makes sense, like it just I hadn't really put it together in the way that you said it. And like when we have our cortisol and our adrenaline going and our body is in a fight or flight, the energy is going into like kind of like survival state, which is like not conducive to healing. And so like how do we get ourselves out of that like stress state so that our body can really rest and really put its energy into healing?
Right. You got it.
Yeah, that really blew my mind last year and really made me prioritize like de-stressing to like another level, which was really cool. Which makes me think that I kind of want to maybe offer. I'm curious, like if anybody's here listening and like there's like yes, yes, yes bells going off. If you would comment below, I'm curious if people would be interested in doing some stress coaching, like in working with like it's like the big part, like it's the first part of my program, and I actually partly designed that in a way partly because of your input of like how important the stress piece is first before the food piece. And so I wonder if we can find a way to combine it in this April spring detox. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, yeah, and I saw your newsletter that went out, or and it was talking about how I'm ready to detox. Let's incorporate yoga and these mindfulness, and I just loved that because I think it's so easy to get caught up in like doing a fancy detox and buying the supplement or doing that, and then but it's like coming back to those basics, right? Like all of those things. Breath work has been huge and very studied, and is in every single culture when it comes to healing. Same with yoga and some sort of movement, and not forgetting that these like very staple lifestyle things. It doesn't have to be brilliant or expensive, like you said. It's just, but you have to do it. The hard part.
Yeah, actually I love that you brought up the yoga piece. So one of my ideas that I think I'm going to do for this spring detox is, and I'm pretty sure you remember this because when we were in school back in San Luis Obispo together, I was doing Bikram yoga. And
Mhm.
so I haven't done, I'm, for those of you who don't know, I actually am a certified Bikram yoga teacher, and I haven't been in a Bikram yoga room since like 2005, maybe. So I think I'm gonna do a month of Bikram yoga. I have a client who totally inspired me. She's like, I've been doing this like every day Bikram yoga and I'm feeling so amazing and my hormones are balanced. And I was like, I remember that feeling of like going in there, doing the series, sweating and like and I was like, this sounds like the perfect combination for my spring detox. So I was thinking about, because saunas, right? Like saunas are one of the greatest ways we can support our detox. So
Yes,
I'm thinking to do a month of Bikram yoga, which is like kind of crazy to me. But like
I'm
as
very inspired.
yeah. So actually let me just so this is what my plan is, and I'm really curious what you think about this. So I'm planning, I already eat extremely clean. I would say that the worst thing that I do is my caffeine, which is the biggest and hardest thing for me. I'm planning, I have this new mud water that has like a really tiny bit of caffeine and it has a lot of adaptogens, it has a lot of mushrooms. So I'm thinking that I might do that for my morning ritual drink. Um, no caffeine. I haven't totally decided on that, but I'm going to work on getting there. Bikram yoga, continue eating really clean. Um, and then I'm thinking to do so it's called liver sauce by, what is the name of the company that we're talking about?
Quicksilver.
Quicksilver. And it's a combination of like, it's like herbs that's like going to kind of like encourage the liver to dump, combined with a binder that like absorbs the toxins and then helps it go down and out. So it's pretty mellow. It's not a big detox. I mean, I already eat super clean, so like
Yeah, I don't really expect to see tons of symptoms because usually by taking the binder, you don't have as many symptoms, which is the way I prefer to detox and what I suggest to people. There's no really point in being miserable, I don't think.
And
Um,
reabsorbing it.
and reabsorbing it, exactly. And I also like, so it has herbs in it, and then it also has some specific nutrients to like the second phase of detoxification, which is nice. So sometimes people just get caught on like the first phase, but you have to go through all phases, right? Or else, again, it's like being reabsorbed, or you're making more free radicals for your body to deal with. So, and it's a liposomal, which is neat. So, I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but basically you can absorb a lot of it through your mucous membrane. So you want to hold it in your mouth for 30 seconds, ideally. And I like that that's like a very newer technology that a lot of companies are using. And Quicksilver is one of the like, you know, foremost companies that use that technology. But I'm excited to try it.
Cool. So you're also planning to do the liver sauce.
Yeah, I'm planning to do it. So like if you buy the kit that they sell, it's a 20-day kit. And so I was planning on just doing, once a day for 20 days. But you could, if you wanted a stronger detox, consider doing twice a day, right? And obviously you'd have to buy more product, but you could do that as well. Or you can start with once a day and do twice a day for like a week and then go down to once a day and kind of have this nice curve.
Okay. I'm into gentle. I've done enough like hardcore detoxing
Yeah.
that I'm into like gentle. Okay, and so you're planning to start the liver sauce on April 1st, or what's your
Yeah, good question. I think I'm gonna do a week. I'm gonna do a week of just like getting rid of caffeine, alcohol, making sure my diet is as clean as yours, and then I'll probably start the liver sauce so like a week into it. So the first 7 days, and it'll be like 20 days, will be almost a month on the liver sauce, and then I'll do some sort of end part to it where I'm just coming out of it gently, gracefully,
okay?
re-entering the world.
So first week of April, you're just gonna cut like basically take out your caffeine and alcohol and increase your nutrient dense foods, decrease the processed foods. Then 20 days of the liver sauce, and then another like week or something of like kind of like the first week again, right? Just like still eating really clean, no caffeine, no alcohol.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like a 5 week.
Yeah, I guess it's a little bit longer.
Okay. And yeah, do you recommend the same thing for me? Should we
Yeah,
twinsies?
yeah, absolutely. I think I'll do the sauna portion, probably not the Bikram, but definitely like the sweating portion is important.
Yeah, and also if people don't have access to a sauna, you can do like a bathtub, like an Epsom salt bath and a cold shower. Hot cold
Yeah.
is wow, it's such amazing, amazing medicine. Okay, all right. So
We're doing this. We're doing this.
we're doing this. Yeah, I'm gonna go for once a day for sure. I'm not doing twice a day.
Yeah, no.
Okay, so for people, so if you're wanting to join us, I think what we'll do is we'll create a like a something on Instagram. This is where we're gonna like answer messages and stuff. And also you had offered to create a link for the liver sauce kit, which has 20% off, right? So
Correct. Yeah.
I think I'll create a very obvious place to go to a page. I'll probably create a website page for the kit, and then also you mentioned adrenal support
Yeah,
for
I
people
think
with
I'm going to
caffeine.
throw in adrenals as an option just to help support that process. Um, so my favorite one is a really strong one and actually has a little bit of adrenal gland in it. And then it has some herbs and nutrients in it that help. So like treating the adrenal is important, but then also like the adrenal brain connection is really important. If I just treat adrenals, people don't get better. You have to do like the hypothalamus pituitary as well. So I love this product because it's an all-in-one product. I do want to mention that a lot of times people will feel more tired at first. And I find that that's because it's just taking that like false edge off that caffeine is producing. And you just get like to really understand that you're really tired. So beware of that. It usually, almost always goes away within like 3 days, if anything. I have to say, I just like switched to it and started doing the adrenal. It's called adrenal. And I have been so tired. I'm like, I don't know why I'm so tired. And then I totally was like, well, I tell patients this all the time, but I forgot. Yeah, just let yourself sleep a little bit more. I'll throw that in there. Typically, it helps people sleep better, gives them more sustained energy. People usually clear mind. People feel really good on it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool. I know you told me about Adrenatone and Adrenal Cortex. Is it a different new product?
Yeah, so this is a product that's called A/Drenal, and it has both of those in it. So it actually has the adrenal cortex and the herbs in it. There's a wide range of adrenal products I prescribe. This is one of the stronger ones.
Cool. Nice.
Yeah.
And so that's to you. And then would you recommend using that the entire like 5 weeks or for 1 week during what do you recommend?
I would stay on it. I would do 5 weeks. You could consider getting off of it or decreasing the amount that you're using it. I typically recommend like 2 capsules in the morning, 2 in the afternoon. Um, I do find that a lot of people, it's a really good just general supplement to take long term as long as you're under continuous stress, which as a mother of three, I'm always under lots of stress. So that's something that I take that I feel like I can't live without, and I have many patients that feel the same way. There are many people who can do other things, but that's where I'm at right now.
So it's like a general thing that you feel like most everybody just would really benefit given our modern lifestyle and all the stuff everyone's juggling. And is there
Yeah.
anyone who shouldn't take it?
There are some people who feel if you're really sensitive to caffeine, I'll have people take like one a day, work their way up. Sometimes people can't tolerate it, but I say like 90% of people can tolerate it just fine. So if you're in that category where you tend to get really jittery from it or doing well, I would just really just take one a day. Start with 1 capsule a day. Or maybe we go to just like ashwagandha or some very simple herb.
So I don't have a problem with caffeine, but I tend to be really sensitive to supplements. You know me.
Uh-huh.
So would you put me also in the one a day?
I would start on one a day or something else entirely, probably.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I like a single product for you. Probably
Okay.
like one herb.
I've been still taking the Adrenatone.
Oh, perfect. That's perfect. You're already doing it.
So keep taking this one. This is the one you would take for me.
Yeah, for sure.
And the other sensitive people out there.
Yeah, possibly. That one is definitely, it doesn't have the adrenal cortex in it. So you might have been specifically responsive to that. And then there's some people who I just start on just ashwagandha or rhodiola or some other just very easy, adaptogenic, very well tolerated herb.
Which both of those are in this product. So
Yeah, I like
okay.
that one.
Cool. All right. So April 1st, we're gonna start the 1 week, and then we're gonna. Have you already ordered your liver sauce?
I already ordered it.
Okay, I'm gonna order it now. I'm gonna order it today.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Let's do it.
Yeah, wish us luck.
Wish us luck. And on Instagram, I'll create a place where you can join the Spring Detox so you can get notifications and ask questions and all the things. And yay! Thanks for doing this with me. I'm really excited, actually.
Yeah, me too. It's always better in good company. So
Heck yeah.
yeah,
Sweet.
thanks for
All
having me
right.
on.
Thank you, Dr. Sharman.
Yeah, good to see you. Have a good morning.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.